Hello, everyone, and welcome to Outside the Gridiron. I'm your host, Brett. Going to be previewing Week 6 here. I'm with my man here, Max. How we doing?
Good. I just noticed we got the matching microphones. Looking
Beautiful.
professional. Yeah, we're looking great.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a good week of football, to be honest with you. A lot of upsets, a lot of underdogs taking care of business, to be honest with you.
It was exciting. The couple games that we kind of previewed last week. We had we they ended up being some pretty surprising games. The Giants winning and the
Yeah,
Jets winning. It was New York football teams, man.
they're looking good so far. We haven't seen that in a while, to be honest with you. They've had a rough stretch here, but they're looking so far so good here in 2022. Um, First game we're going to preview here, I gotta give it to our Vikes. It wasn't the prettiest, been the norm this year, winning ugly a little bit, but they're winning. They're 5-1, still going through the kinks offensively and defensively. But we see these signs that okay, that's kind of Kevin O'Connell's picture in his head that he's looking at. Just these little glimpses of really good football. Um, What'd you kind of think about that win yesterday from the Minnesota Vikings?
Offense really struggled. Outside of maybe 2 drives in the game,
Yep.
and what I looked at, and the thing I'm most optimistic about with the Vikings is they finally started blitzing, and they actually had some good success on the blitz.
Yeah.
They've had their defense has totally been bend don't break all year. They give up a ton of yards. They don't give up a ton of points.
Yep.
But they finally started blitzing and it worked. You had a sack from Jordan Hicks, and there were, I think, 6 sacks all game yesterday. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good sign for the defense. Offense, I think will eventually just get rolling. I just think that's just going to kind of come with time and figuring out other options besides just Justin Jefferson, maybe getting the run
Sure.
game going a little bit. But yeah, getting some good blitzes and getting home on that, I think is huge for them.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. We kind of been asking for that for a while because these quarterbacks have had all day to throw back there, and that's just inexcusable. Zadarius Smith, Daniil Hunter, guys who can rush the passer, and we're not making the quarterback's life tough. I mean, there's no excuse for that. Zadarius got home twice. Patrick Jones got home twice. Great to
Love it.
see. Yeah, I love it for sure. Daniil got a sack in the red zone towards the end of the game. So we're finally getting some pressure, like you said, sending some extra pressure with the blitzes. Um, yeah, beautiful. That was the main difference in the defense. As you could see, it cost some turnovers. I think it was 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it was a pleasant surprise to see that. And then offensively, like you said, it's just too inconsistent right now. It's either we're chugging along really nice or we're stuck in mud. There's
Hmm.
really no in between right now.
Yeah, I've been a little disappointed with um, Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne. I think I expected a little bit more.
Yeah,
And maybe again it's just a scheme thing, and maybe it's
right.
Kevin O'Connell not getting them the ball. But Thielen looks like he's lost a step definitely,
He
and
has.
KJ. Honestly, KJ was a surprise. I thought KJ was going to be like the second best receiver, clear and cut. I thought he was going
I
to
agree.
have wild production, but hasn't
Yep.
been there yet. It's been kind of interesting to see, and he certainly has a couple catches, but I mean,
Sure.
every game at him and Thielen are basically getting 3 or 4 catches for 30 yards, and then
Yep.
Justin Jefferson's kind of carrying, which isn't a bad thing if he's carrying, but
Right.
yeah,
Y-
the wide receiver 2 and 3 I've been a little disappointed with.
Yeah, and you're used to seeing those guys make like contested catches. I feel
Hmm.
like those 50-50 balls that you usually see those guys come down with. There's a couple to Thielen yesterday that he just couldn't come down with. I don't
Hmm.
know if someone said he's been dealing with like a calf injury or something like that, or he probably has just lost a step.
Hmm.
But this is probably another conversation for another day. But I would not be surprised if they go find a dynamic number 2 next year
Hmm.
at some point, either the draft or I think there could be another dynamic playmaker in the wide receiver room come 2023,
Yeah.
but we shall see. But either way, going in the bye week, 5-1, we got to be happy with it. So,
Yeah, definitely. Dolphins kind of skidding a little bit, but
yep,
their defense has played actually pretty decently.
for sure.
The Jets' wheels just kind of fell off, but when
Yep,
they get their quarterbacks Tua back, I think they're going to be good
Yeah,
again.
they'll be all right. I mean, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are
Dangerous.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fun to
they are.
watch.
They are so fast. All right, next game we'll keep the good news rolling. Packers lose the Jets 27-10. The Jets, man, they're looking good, 4-2. Rodgers couldn't do anything yesterday. What do you think of this Jets team?
That Robert Saleh defense is kind of becoming what was expected, I think.
Yep.
Might have been unrealistic expectations to get that last year, but year 2 with him there, and man, they are flying around. I mean, Rodgers had no time to throw yesterday with that. It's funny, they have a front seven that's that good, and then they have Marcus May and Sauce Gardner in the secondary too.
Yep.
They're just kind of a good team. They're just
Right.
kind of a really good defense. I was very impressed with that. They are going to be a tough out because of how gritty they are on defense.
For sure. And we see them, I think it's towards the end of the year, but we'll
Mhm.
see them, I think, at home. Um, at the beginning of the year, that you kind of mark that as a W right away. But yeah, they're playing really well. And Brees Hall on the offensive side of the football, he's a dynamic runner, really good running back. Zach Wilson still kind of sketches me out. He was 10 of 18 yesterday for 110 yards. But as long as he protects the football, I think they're going to be a really good football team. Got a good run game and, like you said, a damn good defense to lift that team up. Now the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. It's the weapons. I mean, you saw him throw the ball a lot to Robert Tonyan and Alan Lazard, but pretty much to anyone else, it's just the connection's not there. I
It's
don't know.
so weird. There's
Yeah,
something. I mean, I think it's a combination of both, like LaFleur and Rodgers both. I think there's just something that's not working. They abandon every single game. It's we need to run the ball more, and
yeah,
then they abandon it every time. And they run the ball pretty well, actually. I mean,
yeah.
AJ Dillon had a pretty nice game yesterday, but
Yep.
it's just there's something off. Either Rodgers is changing it or LaFleur's not calling the run plays, but they just cannot get going. Rodgers is just missing throws he doesn't typically miss.
Right.
It's just been weird. And again, the New York teams, the Jets and the Giants, they're not teams you can really kind of sleepwalk your way to a win anymore. They're
Right.
feisty.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think Aaron Rodgers had like 9 carries or Aaron Jones, excuse me, had 9 carries for 19 yards.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. And AJ Dillon, like you said, had a good game, but he only had 10 carries. I
Mhm.
think they had 19 carries and 41 pass attempts or something like that, which they're coming from behind a little bit, so they're going to pass the football a little bit more.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
their special teams just carrying over from last year. Special teams are a disaster. I
Yeah.
mean, that was one of their big things last year. They lost the playoff game because special teams, and
Yep.
it has been ugly. And yeah, when you get a team that is pretty well coached, I didn't really believe in Robert Saleh that much, but I think I'm kind of starting to believe like that's a pretty well coached team, and
Yeah.
that's are happening. You can't have those mistakes, especially for the Packers. And now Vikings have basically a 3-game lead in the division,
Gotta
and
love
it's
it.
going into the bye. It's just a weird. It feels weird watching the Packers play the way that they are. I don't know. I haven't seen them play like that in my memory.
Yeah. It's the Devontae Adams effect. The minute they traded Devontae Adams, something changed because he was like 75% of their offense, to be honest with you. Just
Hmm.
the threat of Devontae Adams alone, I think, really opened up their offense, and no one's really scared of Allen. Allen Lazard's a decent wide receiver, but is anyone really scared of Allen Lazard beating you
Hmm.
all game? I don't think so.
No, and they
But
hyped up Romeo Dobbs too much because now
yeah,
he's fine. It's just he's not the
yeah,
player that I think everyone wanted him to be, and this is just
exactly.
it might take a little bit more time. They might just need to get another receiver or something. But yeah, the
Yep,
Packers they're a little broken right now, I would say.
for sure. 3-3 going into week 7. Jets are 4-2. Another game that kind of surprised some people. It surprised me for sure. Falcons upset the 49ers 28-14. Arthur Smith's got those Falcons playing pretty good ball, actually, for what they are. But 49ers, their defense has been looking very good, but they gave up 28 to Marcus Mariota. Um, what do you think about that?
Well, I want to acknowledge first the uniforms that the Falcons wore yesterday. One of the coolest uniforms I think I've ever
They were
seen in
nice.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Those helmets, oh, so cool.
Yep.
If they stay with those, they might get the 1 seed in the NFC by some point.
For sure.
No, that Arthur Smith, he is kind of a wizard of
For sure.
making not that good of playmakers make good plays.
Yep.
Because I mean, they're without Cordell Patterson, which is what a lot of people thought was their best player, might be their
Yep.
best player. But then he still finds a way to have Marcus Mariota at halftime be 10 for 10 for 2 touchdowns and 120 yards or whatever, and
Yep.
he runs for one later. It's just he can just kind of make offenses work.
Yeah.
That was a fun team to watch.
Yeah, for sure. They are. And Marcus Mariota, like you said, playing very well. I think he was 13 of 14. Didn't have to do much, but 13 of 14 for 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. That was kind of the story of the game. Both of their running backs, they only averaged like 3.5 yards a carry, but they stuck with the run, played mistake-free football. And it was actually the Falcons defense that made some big plays. They had that fumble return for a touchdown, AJ Terrell, and then they picked off Jimmy G twice. So Niners didn't take very good care of the football, and usually that's not the way the Niners play with Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, it's weird. The 49ers, I still can't tell if they're better or worse without Jimmy Garoppolo because you see him play the Rams, you're like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo's like he just makes sense for the 49ers, and then he just has one of these games where he just kind of lays an egg and just kind of wonder really how good the 49ers are. And honestly, the NFC as a whole has kind of been, I feel like similar to how the 49ers have been, where it's just besides the Eagles, of course, but
Yeah,
everyone else, like, I don't know, everyone seems beatable.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the Eagles top of the line right now in the NFC. Everyone else is kind of, I mean, the Giants and the Vikings are 5-1, but it's not like they've been playing this, terrific football or anything like that. They definitely
Mm-hmm.
look beatable. And, the Eagles are beatable too. They almost lost to the Cardinals last week.
Mm-hmm.
They let the Cowboys back in the game last night. But yeah, for sure, the NFC is wide open. And this just proves the point. The Falcons upset them 28-14. It's
And
any given Sunday.
you look at how the Bucks are too. Like if the Falcons can kind of keep it rolling, the Falcons could they could kind of challenge for the division honestly this year.
Yeah, and a great segue, Max, because that's the next game. Steelers squeak by the Bucks 20-18. Um, Kenny Pickett played into the third quarter, I think, and then
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Trubisky came in and made some actually big time throws to keep that offense moving. Couple long third down conversions. Tom Brady kind of struggled. Yeah, I don't know. The Bucks look beatable for sure too, and something we haven't been used to the last couple of years.
A big attribute of Tom Brady's game is, excuse me, it's always been pass protection, and
Yep.
if he doesn't have great pass protection, he can get the ball out faster, but that O line is kind of struggling, and
Yeah, they are.
receivers aren't. I mean, he's kind of just become like a check down guy this year, and it's worked in the past a little bit, but Bucks they just look a little bit broken on offense. Their defense is still really good,
Yep.
and they've kind of honestly ever since Tom Brady's been there, they've kind of struggled with injuries, really kind of here and there, but. I don't know. I guess a must-win game for the Steelers if they want to keep their season alive and
Yeah,
that division. There's some good teams have some losses in that division, so I
for
guess it's
sure.
available. But I don't know. Buccaneers can't really. They got to be watching their tails a little bit. I don't think it's going to be as easy of a division as I previously thought.
For sure. No, I totally understand where you're coming from there. And this was a game I was kind of looking at before this weekend because you knew Mike Tomlin was going to have the Steelers team ready to play. They got
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed 38-3 by Buffalo. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league. Had him ready to play. Only gave up 18 points to Tom Brady and the Bucks. But like you said, that division's it's open a little bit.
Oh yeah.
If New Orleans could have pulled that one out against Cincinnati, it would have been a pretty close race
Mm-hmm.
with the Falcons as well. But yeah, for sure. NFC, another point proven. It's wide open.
It's so interesting. I mean, last
Yeah,
year the NFC was one of those. You had like 3 or 4 teams that were like this was their year all in to go
yeah,
win a Super Bowl. You had Packers, Bucks, you had the Rams. Honestly, even like I don't know the Cowboys in some realm.
yep,
Last year with Jimmy G supposedly, so it was just like that. Last year the NFC you had all those good teams, and now mostly not very good teams that are now
yeah.
like winning the divisions and stuff like that.
It is so interesting, and it's going to be fun to watch play out
Mm-hmm.
coming to the midpoint of the season because I think it's going to be wide open when it comes down to the line. And another NFC team we kind of talked about, Giants improved to 5-1, beat the Ravens. The Ravens give up another double-digit lead for some reason. They're up 20-10. and they let Daniel Jones and the Giants come back and win 24-20.
I can't believe the Giants. It doesn't make any sense because it's not even like Daniel Jones is playing. He's playing just fine, which I guess maybe that's all they needed. But
Yep.
it's just so confusing. I mean, Saquon's a little bit banged up, so we'll see. But they have a very winnable schedule, and I think
Yes, they
this might
do.
have been the hardest game of the year for them, and
Yep.
they won it. It's
Yeah.
just like, are you gonna have a wild card Giants team now? Like, I don't know. It's so weird. I still can't. I don't even think they're that good, but they keep winning, so I have to give them credit.
Yeah, for sure. You got to give them credit where credit's due. 5-1. And I think 2 of their next 3 games are against like the Texans and the Commanders or something like that. Those are 2 games that they should for sure win. So
Hmm.
if they at least win the 2 out of the next 3, you're looking at a 7-2 team through 9 weeks, and then that's
Unbelievable.
looking pretty comfortable.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's in the division with the Eagles and the Cowboys. So I mean, last year, the year before that, the NFC East was by far the weakest division in football, and now you're looking at 3 teams that could potentially,
Yeah, I mean, you got. I mean, I would already say you could etch it in stone. Kevin O'Connell's done fine, but like Brian Dabble, Coach of the Year, I think
yeah,
almost on lock already.
yep,
Just assuming the rest of their schedule, like the NFC East doesn't have that tough of a schedule anyway.
no,
And again, Giants have already played a lot of their tough games, so I think they could. Is it weird to say they could finish maybe with like 11 wins this year and maybe in the
crazy
playoffs?
to think. We haven't seen that in a while since the Eli Manning days, at least.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
It's
I mean,
it's
at the start of the
been a
year, they
while.
won week 1, and that was their first time having a winning record since 2016.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, and now they're 5-1.
That is crazy. All right. Well, I guess we could talk about the Ravens too. Another double-digit lead given up. They're up 20-10. And then Lamar Jackson, I don't know, towards the end of the games, he's really starts to struggle. And then the defense starts to struggle for whatever reason. But it's been a pattern so far in 2022. What do you think is causing that, Max?
It's really weird. Lamar historically is one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz, and then this year it seems just like when teams start blitzing him, it just hasn't worked. And I don't know if it's maybe just the playmakers around him. I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly why he's struggling so much towards like late in the game. I know their number one Bateman's hurt, but even that hasn't. It's not like they've had great receivers in years past. It's just
Right.
something about Lamar against the blitz this year. It's just not. I don't know. Something's not quite working there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because, like you said, he's usually pretty good against the blitz. Can usually take advantage of that either with his legs or just throwing an accurate football, and it just hasn't been the case so far.
Hmm.
The last few weeks at least. And then the defense just seems to struggle down the stretch too, for whatever reason. But I expect them to get back on track at some point. It's
Yeah,
the Ravens, it's Harbaugh and Jackson. They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna be there right at the end of the season. So
I think so. It is a little weird with their defense because I think everyone always touts the Ravens defense, like, oh, it's the Ravens
yeah,
defense is the tough physical brand of football, and then
yep,
they're just been giving up leads. Maybe they're playing softer coverage or something, but
right,
it's just been kind of a. I mean, this has been like the 3 of their losses have just been 3 leads that they've blown.
yep,
So it's like they're being one of the best teams, and then they're also just like letting everyone back in.
yeah.
Super
It's
interesting.
it's very interesting, very weird. Another thing to see play out because the Bengals are right there now. I think they're 3-3 as well.
Hmm.
I believe, with the win, little bit of a comeback win versus the Saints yesterday, and then the Steelers. I don't think they're gonna push for for
Who
that, but
knows?
I
Who
think
knows?
I
Yeah.
think it's a race between the Ravens and the Bengals and in the AFC North over there.
Hmm.
All right, Buffalo outlasts the Chiefs, 24-20. The game kind of everyone was all pretty pumped up for.
Hmm.
Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. In the end, Josh Allen just made a couple more plays than Patrick Mahomes. That hurdle over the defender was another.
It was
That
sweet.
brings us Anthony Barr flashbacks a little bit.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes ended up throwing the game-losing interception on the final drive. Buffalo just made a couple more plays than the Chiefs.
Yeah, this seemed like a game, and it was close, and oddly enough, Josh Allen, and Mahomes both didn't play their best games. And you look at their
Right.
stat line, you're like, they played. It looks good, but
Yep.
yeah, I think the Bills just have a better overall just team. I mean, I think the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill again, you're going to produce because it's Patrick Mahomes. I think they just lose this element of being able to win on the boundary.
Right.
And, they're going to have players that are going to be able to make plays all the time. But, I mean, you don't pay Tyreek Hill, and then you still sign a $30 million contract for MVS, who has finished with 0 catches,
Yeah.
no yards yesterday.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't use him for like a jet sweep or anything. Like he was just there. And so he doesn't really play that much. They drafted Sky Moore in the second round. He's having a hard time getting on the field. It's just kind of been this whole, it hasn't been, I guess, a huge issue yet, but in a game like when you're playing the Bills, I mean, the Bills have just great weapons all around, and they have Josh Allen, and
Yep.
I think it's kind of going to take a toll on them. It took a toll on them in this game. And of course, when you have Von Miller putting pressure, now especially, that's going to get to Mahomes a little bit.
Yep. No, I agree. I feel like Kansas City, Mahomes, they kind of rely on Travis Kelce a lot in the passing game, especially with Tyreek Hill gone. Juju had actually his best game as a Chief. Yeah, he played a really good game, had that long touchdown. But like you said, I think it's eventually going to take the toll on Kansas City. Buffalo likes to spread the ball around. Gabe Davis is turning into a really, really, really good deep threat, really good wide receiver. Stephon Diggs does what he does. Devin Singletary had a good game too yesterday, running the football, catching passes. I just think Buffalo, like you said, just has more weapons right now, has a little bit better defense, but with Patrick Mahomes, you can never really count out the Chiefs. That's why this game was so close.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. This is what everyone says is the Super Bowl, or
Yep.
this is the AFC Championship,
Yep.
and so we'll kind of see. It almost feels like they're just on a collision course to meet again.
Yeah.
But it was a fun game. I mean, how do you take the Mahomes 2 interceptions? Do you look into that too much or not really?
Not really, because he's had games like this before, I guess, where he's thrown a couple interceptions, and then he comes back the next week and has his 350-yard, 4-touchdown game or something like that. He does seem to force the football sometimes. I mean, that's just because he has such special arm talent. I mean, the guy can throw the football with anyone in the history of the football league. I mean, the guy has great arm talent, great arm strength. I think it just gets the best of him at some points.
Yeah.
But the AFC is a little different than the NFC. I think these two are the clear-cut favorites in the AFC, where the NFC, it's kind of wide open after the Eagles. I think the Eagles eventually are going to get, like I think you said this a couple days ago, they kind of remind me of the Cardinals just a little bit from last year. Mobile quarterback, really hot start. They're playing their best football at the beginning of the year. Are people going to start figuring them out? It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, they had a really rough game against the Cardinals last week.
Yep.
And then they respond looking pretty good against the Cowboys, and then kind of give it up. So we'll see how they end up finishing with the Eagles. But yeah, they're definitely, I think, far and away the best team right now in the NFC. I don't think it's questionable.
For sure. Yep. And just talking to the Eagles, they did end up taking care of the Cowboys 26-17. Came out to a 20-0 lead. That secondary made Cooper Rush look like a backup yesterday. They are so good with Darius Slay, James Bradbury, their corners, just blanket wide receivers. I mean, they have a really dang good defense. Jalen Hurts did just enough on the offensive side of the football to get it done. A.J. Brown had a nice game. Miles Sanders played pretty well. But I think the Eagles defense was kind of the story of the game. Help them get out to that 20-0 lead, and kind of, coast from there a little bit.
Yeah, James Bradbury, whatever. He's one of the best signings this offseason. I mean, you have Darius Slay is Darius Slay. He's amazing. But then to have a very solid CB2, I think has been huge for the Eagles. And then
For sure.
You trade for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who super fun physical player, and like that secondary is no joke. And then on top of that, they're also able to get pressure on the QB too. So they made Cooper Rush's life really hard last night. They're a team that, I mean, the Cowboys O-line has definitely been a lot better than people were expecting it to be. And
for sure.
Cooper Rush, 3 interceptions last night. So Eagles won the turnover battle.
Yeah, that's for sure. That was the story of the game. 3 interceptions. Did he even throw an interception before this week, or did he throw maybe one or two? But
He may
nothing
have
like
thrown like
this.
1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah,
Never
but
2 in one game, but he got
right,
3 yesterday.
exactly. It's crazy how fast it can turn from, is there a quarterback controversy in Dallas to, okay, yeah, Cooper Rush is a backup.
Yeah.
Dak, get back.
Like, wait till Dak gets back and we'll be fine.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Cowboys are interesting. I don't know if they've just been playing better with Cooper Rush or what, but
Right.
that just doesn't seem like a product that Dak I don't think Dak has ever had that dominant of a defense before, you know?
Mm-mm. Nope. And it'll be interesting to see if that defense can keep it going when Dak comes back. I don't know if they focus on passing more with Dak, that the defense maybe is on the field a little bit more or something like that, where they're not as dominant. Where with Cooper Rush, they're a little bit more conservative with the run game, and
Mhm.
I, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys can kind of keep it going. They're 4-2. Cooper Rush did his job above expectations, obviously, to get the Cowboys where they are right now. But any final takeaways from any other games, Max? Didn't get to all of them, but was there any other takeaways that you had at all?
No, I mean, I really think that one coach that might be on the hot seat that I wouldn't have expected is Kevin Stefanski.
Okay,
Now,
sure.
obviously, not going to get into the QB situation. They're having Deshaun Watson will be back at some point.
Yep.
We'll see how that looks for them, but the Browns just have not been as good as I mean, their roster is very talented. Their
Yep.
defense is really talented, and they've just been giving up. I mean, they let the Jets back into the game, and then like even yesterday, they just let Bailey Zappi just he played
He
super
carved
well
them up.
against the Browns. Yeah,
Yeah, he carved
um,
them up.
uh, I'm really intrigued to see kind of what happened. I saw Browns fans asking for Mike Zimmer, which really that made me giggle a little bit just because
Right.
Stefanski came from Minnesota. But
That is
um,
funny.
yeah, I don't the Browns something might be up there brewing with Stefanski.
Yeah, that's a good point because with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, you got Amari Cooper, you got weapons on offense. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he's a decent quarterback,
Hmm.
but they got a bunch of talent on defense, and their defense has not played well. Like you said, they let the Jets back into the game, and then this week they kind of just got carved up, like you said, by Bailey Zappi. Scored 38 points on him. I mean, come on,
And
it's
Jacoby
not good
Brissett's
football.
he's never been the quarterback where if you need 35 points in a game, he's gonna get that to you. But
Right.
I mean, they knew that and they don't expect that. But
Yep.
I think that Stefanski he might be a little bit the seat is a little warm for him. I wouldn't say it's completely hot yet, but
Right. Exactly. The only other game that I was kind of thinking of was the Rams and the Panthers. Rams, they still don't look very good. I mean, they beat the Panthers 24-10, but Carolina's kind of a mess right now. I mean, they had
hmm
to kick one of their own players off the sideline, Robbie Anderson.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, I didn't either. Like, I was watching Red Zone a little bit,
Hmm.
and Scott Hansen cut to it, and I'm like, oh, he got ejected. He must have got a penalty or something like that. And they're like, nope, he got escorted off by his own assistant coach or something like that because he was talking crap to, is it Steve Wilkes? They're
Yeah, I
interim.
think Steve Wilkes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a mess over in Carolina, and the Rams are struggling with them through the third quarter. I think they kind of pulled away the last 15 minutes or so, but I don't know about that Rams team. They rely on Cooper Cup, like
Hmm.
super on offense. The offensive line is not good. Um,
No,
I don't know.
I think the Seahawks might be the better divisional team than the Rams at
Yeah.
this point, and both 3-3, so both will be potentially fighting for a playoff spot outside of I guess the 49ers too.
Yeah.
Are they all 3-3, aren't they?
Right. And Geno Smith, speaking of the Seattle Seahawks, who would have saw this coming?
Geno
Honestly,
Smith.
it's crazy.
Hmm.
He's throwing the football great.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah. All right. Monday night preview. Max, Broncos versus Chargers. Could Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson figure something out? Another nationally televised game for the Broncos.
Get him
I
off.
mean, if it's
Noon on
another,
Sundays.
yeah,
Get him back on
I
noon on
hear you.
Sundays.
Can they score over 14 points this week?
I don't know if I can guarantee that. I do actually. The Chargers should win this game,
Yeah.
although I think the Broncos are going to take this one. Um, I don't really have an explanation why. I think the Russ and Hackett stuff. I think they'll be somewhat efficient today, but
Yep.
this just seems like a game that the Chargers will lose. Broncos will win. People will start calming down about the Broncos and then yelling at the Chargers for being overhyped.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the pattern the last few years. Everyone, the Chargers Super Bowl contenders, coming into the year, and then they start out the year like 2-3 or
Mm-hmm.
3-4 or something like that, and then the hype kind of goes down. But I think I kind of agree with you, to be honest with you. I think Nathaniel Hackett's not there yet as an NFL coach, but it's his first year. It's his first 5 games. But I still kind of feel that way about Brandon Staley. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's all that. I think Justin Herbert makes him look better than he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these decisions, like they should have lost last week too, if Amendola didn't miss that kick, or was it a couple weeks ago? When
Oh gosh.
they let someone back into
Oh yeah.
they went for it in their own territory, and then I forgot
That was
who
the
it was.
It was the Browns.
The Browns. That's
Yeah,
right.
it was 2 weeks ago.
Yep. And they missed the kick to win the ball game. But I mean, if you just punt that football away, pin them inside the 20, the Browns had no timeouts. I'm like, just not smart.
No.
So,
Yeah, I know Hackett gets all the slack for game management because they lost the games, and Brandon Staley's won a couple with bad game management. So
yeah,
kind of winning football games masks a lot of things, but
for sure.
that's why the Broncos, I think, are off to such a rough start because
Yep.
not only they're not playing well, but they're also just like losing the games too.
Yeah.
But I think they'll get back on track tonight. I think
Sure.
this will be the best Russ game. That's just gonna be my prediction.
Sure.
But man, I don't think this game's gonna be very, very exciting if I'm being honest with you.
Another 16-12 type of game or
Yeah,
something like
it
that,
might be. It might be.
unfortunately. But I kind of agree with you. Russell Wilson getting back on track. Broncos kind of cooling it down a little bit with all this talk of, wow, they look bad. I mean, they still might look bad tonight, but like you said, winning kind of, quiets things down a little bit. But we're both taking the Broncos tonight. Great week of football. Our Vikings are 5-1. Packers lost yesterday. We're feeling good, me and Max.
Yeah. Yeah, we get a week off from all the stress that the Vikings bring us.
For sure. I mean, we need it. They need it. The fans need it. Hopefully they can get some stuff figured out offensively, and hopefully Donatel kind of wakes up a little bit too and uses this defense to its advantages a little bit. But yeah, great week of football. Anything else, Max?
No, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see the game tonight because this game, the Chiefs just lost another one, so the AFC
Yep,
West. There's still a little bit of openings. We'll see if any team can
for sure.
challenge them up top.
So yeah, I'm right with you there. My darn dog. I want to be pet the whole time. Sounds good. Well, appreciate everyone watching. This is Outside the Gridiron. I'm Brett. That's Max. We'll see you in the next one.